Hello and welcome to our final session this afternoon, which is being green and having fun. So welcome to everybody who's been with us all afternoon to this session, and for those of you who've just joined us, welcome to this session. We've had a really interesting and exciting afternoon so far, but we've been looking at the bigger picture all of the afternoon, and now we're going down to something a little bit more local, about something that we can do here in the Heatons, about something very specific to do with our use of plastics. So I'm Diana Scotcher and I'm the Secretary of Sustainable Living in the Heatons, and we're delighted to have you all with us here. Has everybody joined up? I hope so. So next slide please. Just a few housekeeping points. So first of all, just to remind you that only our speakers and panelists have the ability to use their microphone, so we can't see or hear you, but you can make your voice heard through, first of all, clicking on the Q&A button. That's how you can ask questions. We'll try to get them together today and answer them, or it may be in the coming days we'll answer them. Please participate in the poll, which today will be in the form of a quiz, a family quiz for you to answer. You can chat in the commentary and share your ideas. And we'd like to know now some questions. We'd like to know where you are. Are you in the Heatons or are you further afield? We'd like to know whether you are young people or older people or families. We were trying to get a feel for how many young people and children we've got involved today. And after the webinar, the recording is going to be uploaded onto YouTube. Thank you. Next slide, please. So just for those of you who are new this afternoon to this session, I'm just going to say a few things. So we're Sustainable Living in the Heatons, and we started 10 years ago, and I'm really proud that I was one of those first people that sat in a little room and started this up. So we've organised lots of different activities over the years and months. An eclectic lot of activities, but we've found, some of us began to think, well, are we doing enough for the bigger picture? Are we doing enough to try and get the message out there? And we began to think that climate change is becoming bigger and more significant than it was, and it's certainly getting a bigger media profile. David Attenborough, Greta Thunberg and Extinction Rebellion, to name just a few, have already having their impact. But like many others, we thought climate change and action against climate change is coming too quickly. So we're worried that our leaders aren't acting enough, and we're worried that everybody can feel a bit dispirited, can feel a bit like, well, I can only do so much and I can only do a little bit, and we'd like to think about more. But on the other hand, we also think that change is happening. So just two things I'd like to say that are to do with this event. First of all, plastic bag use has reduced since we've been charged. But just recently we've heard that the fee for single-use plastic bags will increase in April 2021 and be widened to more shops. Now that's a big and important thing. And secondly, just something I picked up recently, a recent report by the think tank Carbon Tracker discussed the likely reduction in oil production because of the reduced use of plastics, and especially single-use plastics. So these are moves in the right direction, and that should give us some optimism. So we can either despair or we can do something. And this festival is about trying to do things in small ways and to get things moving. So what's going to happen today with us? We're going to have, first of all, we're going to have a quiz, and then we're going to have a video. So two things that we hope will keep you going. While I think now we're going over to Melissa, who is our quiz master for the day. Melissa, I'll leave you to introduce yourself. Thank you very much.
Hello, thanks Diana. Yeah, I'm Melissa Mitchell. I've joined SLH this time last year and wanted to make a bit of a difference to the community, to a bit of education. I'm particularly interested in education as I am a teacher. So we've got a quiz today, and this quiz can be answered by children, by adults. You can get as involved as you like. You can add pictures onto Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So yeah, get involved as much as you can. If you don't want to get up and get involved, then just answer the questions on the polls, which we'll be able to see how you guys get on. Our first round, if you want to put the first poll up, please, Mel, is to go and get some things. So our first job, are you ready to be greener? Run around. If you've got your children handy, get them going in all different directions. Can you run around and collect as many as the following as you possibly can? And once you've collected them, give them a tick. Now this preps us for being greener. If we have these things in our house, we can be greener. So here are a few of my ones. I'm just going to move my poll out of the middle of my screen so I can see me too. These are some of my favourite ones. This, I picked up my tote bag at Shore Road Market. I'm obviously not from Manchester, so I was super excited to get a bee-themed bag. I have my reusable containers. These ones are from Boho. I love a Boho. The best curry around, best Chinese around, in my opinion. Sorry, the others are good. Reusable travel mug. I have my very own one with birds. It's very well used, somewhat stained inside, but that makes it taste all the better in my opinion. Something I bought pre-used. I didn't grab one of those, but it's an old pencil case of my daughter's that I did steal, so I always use that. And one of the hardest things to buy sometimes is a toy that's not got any plastics in it. This is Paddington Bear, again stolen, to show what you might be able to run around and find. So if you've got a child, go collect them, go and find them all. And once you've found them all, if you can take a picture and add it to our Facebook page, our Instagram page, or our Twitter page, then it'll be most welcome. If not, can you tick the ones that you've got and submit it? They're all of my ones. What have we got on the poll at the moment, Mel?
Very fast off the mark so far. 8 of you left to go. Come on, get around that house.
It's quite tricky. To be fair, I had prepped for this. My hardest one, like I said, was finding something I'd bought secondhand or pre-used. But there's always a piece of clothing or perhaps something someone passed over to you that they didn't want anymore. Always quite handy.
Okay, I've got
How are 8 doing?
4 in. Great. Almost halfway there.
Excellent. I was just checking what our Twitter and Facebook handle was. Do you have them with you? Oh, if you are on Instagram, if you can add it to @SL that'll be picked up by our Instagram, and it's SL Heatons for Twitter too. So if you've got your pictures and you can add them, our media team will be very happy to add those to our pages.
Okay, 3 more people left.
Come on. I must admit, my tote bag's looking rather grubby. I use it all of the time and end up using it for, you know, just wandering about with.
Okay, how much longer do you want to give them?
I think we're going to have to do a bit of a countdown. Should we do a 10-second countdown for them?
Sounds good.
9, 8, 7, 6. Tick the ones you've got. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Click the submit. What have we got, Mel?
Okay, there we go. Sharing results.
Oh, 100%. I've got reusable containers. Maybe you're at Boho every weekend, like me. No, not that often, honestly. Reusable travel mug. That's fantastic because we can now go into most. Well, we could pre-lockdown go into most coffee places and use our reusable mugs. The one we've found the most tricky, same as me, a toy that isn't made from plastic. So many nowadays are made from plastics. I do know there's a shop on the Moor Top which has lots of nice wooden toys. I think it's the Melissa and Doug collection that are particularly good for being wooden. And sometimes if we go to local craft fairs, we can find those. So well done, guys. 100% on 2 of those. Better than I thought we'd do. So over to our next question. How green have you been? So this is checking out what you've done this week. Lots of us have been back to school, back to work this week as we start settling down again. So have you taken your own lunch to work and used your own container? Yep, these are mine. and my favourite sandwich container, perfect shape. That once went missing in the staff room and I was not impressed. Have you grown your own and eaten it? Over to my trusty plant. This is my basil. It smells beautiful. I went to Norwich, also live in Norwich part-time, and this comes with me in the car between two places, and my car smells beautiful for a couple of days afterwards. Have you checked out and used some of the herbs from sustainable living in the Heatons raised beds? There's some by the library. There's some at Moortop, just outside Co-op. I believe there's some in Heaton Chapel, but I haven't been that far. Is that right, Diana? Yeah, Diana is nodding, but she's on mute. So there's definitely some, I believe, in Heaton Chapel somewhere.
There is some. We share them with Love Heaton Chapel.
Ah, that's it. Have you walked or cycled or scooted when you've been tempted to drive? I walked all the way into Stockport last weekend, only to have to turn around and run back again because I'd forgotten I had a slot on the Heatons, the Shore Road Market for SLH. And have you planted or made something to support wildlife? This is where I fall down living in a flat at the moment. I don't have space for that, but hopefully you guys have. How are we doing with the ticking off of these, Mel?
Yeah, almost half have voted.
Oh, they're trying to, and it's fine if it's voting across your house. So as long as one of you in your household has completed one of those, you can give it a tick.
6 out of 9 so far, just 3 people left to vote.
Oh, last 3. It's trying to, and it's also walked or cycled or scooted when you've been tempted to drive. Actually, what does that mean for some people? For me, I like walking, so it doesn't bother me too much. But other people, actually, it might not be able to walk someone when they can't. Are we there?
2 more left.
Oh, 10-second countdown then. 10, 9, 8. She's got one of those little clocks. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
What have we got?
Coming over.
We've got another 100% on this. So 100% of us have walked, scooted or cycled when tempted to drive. I think the weather's been there for us for that this week, hasn't it? Fantastic. But 86% for taking your own lunch to work and grown it and eaten it yourself. Plenty of green-fingered people here. Don't forget there's more green-fingered slots on the SLH over the next couple of weekends. Have we checked out the herbs and sustainable living? There's our lowest score at 57%. So don't forget they're in Heaton Chapel with the Love Heaton group. They're also at Moortop and outside the library. I'm not sure if there's any in Heaton Mersey or Heaton Norris, but they are all written on our website, I believe. And have you made or planted something to support wildlife? 71%. Great job. Keep an ear out and an eye out for when we make bat boxes and hedgehog hides and all sorts of events throughout the year if you want to do more to support that. Thank you very much, Mel. What's our next question? Okay, our next question is a question that Rachel, who has made a video for us later on to watch and to join in with, she might be able to answer and help with this question. So this one's a bit of research really for us to enable Rachel to help you later on and possibly answer any questions for you. So there are some tricky plastics. These are the plastics that we find difficult to either reduce, reuse or recycle. So what are the ones that we find difficult to reduce the number that we buy or end up with, because we often don't want to buy them, but we can't, or if we do have to buy them, that we find it difficult to reuse them, or if we do have to recycle them and find it difficult to actually get to the recycling places. And the list there are plastic bottles, plastic bags, crisp packets, meat containers, and fresh produce packaging. For me, the fresh produce packaging, I think, is the most difficult for me. I'm pretty good with my tote bags. They're hanging up at the door, they're hanging everywhere. Meat containers, I don't eat meat, so I'm all right with that one. And plastic bottles, I have 2 of these, both with my M on them. When I'm at school, it's Miss Mitchell. At home, it's just Melissa. But they come around with me everywhere to try and help. It's just those long journeys if I accidentally forget them. So tick the ones you find most difficult. The ones with the highest percentages will be passing over to Rachel for some ideas on how to reduce or reuse or recycle them. How far along are we with our polls, Mel?
Just 3 people left to vote now.
The same 3 people.
They're thinking hard about it.
Yeah, I suspect it's some of the bigger families as well going, which one is it? Which one is it? And having a good debate about which one it is.
2 people left.
Excellent. I have to do my best Carol Vorderman, or is it, what's her name? Rachel somebody nowadays for the clock. Okay, let's close it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What are we finding the most difficult? Ready for Rachel?
Okay, here we go.
Wow, this is quite similar to me again. So the plastic bottles are the ones that we find easiest. Great job, and you'll find out why later on in the quiz. It's a great job that we're either reusing, reducing or recycling our plastic bottles. They're on 14%. 29% of us find it hard to recycle our plastic bags. 57 crisp packets, and then our meat containers and fresh produce packaging are by far the hardest at 71%. And again, later on in the week, I'd have to check which day it is, but we've got people who are looking at our local shops and how our local shops can help us to reduce those. And I know the Good Life is working really hard to reduce the packaging that we need to use. In fact, I think they might be 100% package free or packaging that you can't recycle. Probably shouldn't quote me on that though. Okay, let's close that one. And our next question. So, which of these is a single-use plastic? Which of these can you only use once? Give it a tick. Which ones do you think that we can't use more than once? The choices there are a plastic straw, a plastic container for buying strawberries, or a plastic container for your sandwiches. Can imagine some debates going on again, which ones you can use again. Certainly any plastic straw that I've seen a child use ends up so chewed. I wouldn't want to be using it again. The containers for strawberries would be my hardest, I think, and a plastic container for your sandwiches.
Oh, only a few more people left to vote.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to ask you, Rachel, there. Sorry, not Rachel, Melissa, can I just check with you? So the plastic container, that's a bit like the sandwich container that you showed earlier, isn't it?
Well, I was going to debate this because if you buy some of the plastic containers from the shops, if you're going to a fridge in a supermarket or a local shop and they have the plastic and paper ones, those would be straight away chucked away. But these ones, if you're making your own sandwiches, wouldn't be. So when we have a look, we perhaps need to think about whether or not we're using our throwaway ones and buying them in a shop, or we're using taking our own. And some supermarkets now are also looking at making them cardboard so that they can be at least degraded. Okay, so about there, Mel?
3 more left.
Last 3, get ticking. And if you're not quite sure, that's okay. Okay, shall we close that poll?
Sure.
And see how we get on?
Coming over.
Absolutely. Plastic straws can only be used once. Once only. Nobody wants to use them again once they've been in our mouth, and they're very difficult to clean. I suppose you could do some craft with them, but again, once they've been dribbled on, especially with COVID around, I wouldn't want to right now. A plastic container for buying strawberries was one of our most difficult things from the question, so perhaps Rachel, if you've got any ideas for those, that'd be great. And a plastic container for your sandwiches, we just discussed that a little bit between Diana and I. If it was one from a shop, that would be thrown away, probably only used once. But if it's a home one, then yeah, you can reuse those ones. Okay, and our next question. This is where we get into why we want to reduce, reuse and recycle some of our plastics. So what happens to plastic waste? I'll read through these a couple of times as you vote. It is biodegradable material, so eventually disintegrates. It never fully goes away, it just breaks into little pieces. There is no such thing as plastic waste. All plastic is recycled. It is dumped in the ocean for fish to eat. I'll read those again. What happens to plastic waste? It is biodegradable, so it eventually disintegrates. It never fully goes away. It breaks into little pieces. There is no such thing as plastic waste. All plastic is recycled, or it is dumped in the ocean for fishes to eat. So you just tick on one of those that you think happens. And on that third one, it says all plastic is recycled. We know we send some of it to be recycled, but is all of it recycled?
We've got 2 left, just having a think about that answer.
These are quite tricky, and a couple of these next ones are even trickier. The clock is out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop the poll.
Here we go, results coming over. It's pretty conclusive.
100% correct. It never fully goes away. It breaks into little pieces. And there was, in 2012, the Sea Education Association did a study, a nautical research around the Hawaiian Islands, where over 36 days, they found 66,077 pieces of plastic collected from the ocean in those 36 days. And even more frightening than that, 95% of it was millimeters in size, which means that 95% of it you could properly see. Anything smaller than that, you could almost say it's disappeared, but when it's in its millimeters or larger, obviously that's sizable. There's lots of animals and sea creatures that could be eating that or harming the environment in many ways. So absolutely, it never fully goes away. And even if we do recycle it, we recycle it into another form of plastic, and eventually that ends up in our oceans in landfill, which is why it's so important, events like this, to help us to reduce, reuse and recycle. So let's have for our next poll. Why is plastic dangerous for marine life? I'll read that through the answers and tick the one that you think is correct. They mistake it for food and cannot digest it. They can get tangled in it, which hinders their ability to swim. Both of the above answers. Or it's not dangerous because they use plastic waste for habitats. So they build their homes out of the plastic waste. Let's go through those again. Why is plastic dangerous for marine life? They mistake it for food and cannot digest it. They can get tangled in it, which hinders their ability to swim. Both the above answers. Or it's not dangerous at all because they use plastic waste for their habitats.
So we had 5 very quick off the mark there.
Ooh.
Just a couple more thinking about things.
Well, certainly if you've got a family there, getting everyone to agree on an answer.
Oh, they made a decision. It's fine. We've got another answer in.
Perfect.
Any more to come? Okay, I think that's probably going to be a lot. Share the results. Here we go.
100% correct. So we've got some experts out there today. Yeah, it's both the above answers. It was A and B. Plastic bags can be mistaken for jellyfish. This is just one example of how they can be mistaken, but they can be mistaken as jellyfish and eaten by leatherback turtles. And there were 408 leatherback turtles were given an autopsy, and a third of those were found with plastic inside them. So a third of those 408 turtles had somehow eaten some of the plastic bags left behind. And also there are plenty of wildlife, birds, dolphins, fish, turtles that also get tangled in nets and cords. And if as we've discussed in the previous question, it's not biodegradable, it just gets smaller and smaller, which means that it's there forever and a day for the animals to be able to get caught into. Sad times. And again, so glad we did so well in that first round. Next question please, Mel. Quick one here for you. How many tons of plastic do you think are left in the ocean each year? 2 tons, 5 tons, 8 tons, or 10 tons? So this is plastics that end up in the ocean. How many are left there? This doesn't take into account all of the tons of plastic put into landfill, incinerated, recycled, and whatever else. This is an estimate of how many tons are put into the ocean each year. Might be a bit of a best guess, this one. I find it really hard to imagine. So I just did a quick check and it said that the average car weighs approximately 2 tons. So if you think it's a car's weight worth, it's just 2 tons, 2.5 cars, it's 5 tons, 4 tons. Sorry, 4 cars would make it 8 tons. And you need 5 cars, 10 tons.
Okay, I think we're good. Results coming over.
Oh, that was quick that time. Or maybe it's me rabbiting. Oh, so most of us, 71% thinks it's 10 tons, 29% think it's 8 tonnes. It is the minority, correct, it's 29%, sorry, it's 8 tonnes approximately end up in the ocean each year. Okay, let's go for our next question. We've looked a lot at the moment about all of the bad things and why we shouldn't do it. So this one's more of a promise, it's a bit more lighthearted, this one. So to cut down our levels of plastic pollution, the UK has committed to stop all single-use plastic packaging. So all of those packagings that we looked at before, the sandwich packaging, the straw packaging, plastic bags, those sort of things. And they're hoping, they plan to recycle 70% of all plastic packaging. I'll read that again because I've jumbled it up. To cut down our levels of plastic pollution, the UK has committed to stop all single-use plastic packaging and to recycle 70% of all plastic packaging. Which year has the UK set as the goal? Is it 2020, 2025, 2030 or 2035? So to stop all of that single-use plastics, so that every single piece of plastic we bring home can be reused again, and 70% of everything plastic will be able to be recycled. I'd love it to be 2020, but I don't think that's going to happen by the end of this year. Okay, how are we doing with our guesses, Mel?
Couple left just thinking about it still.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell because when it's a bit of a goal, how long are the government going to give themselves to do that? I think a bit of a clue here might be that in 2021 they're hoping, or they're going to be charging everybody for their single-use carrier bags. So by 2021, it won't just be the big supermarkets, the big shops that charge 5 pence, 10 pence for their carrier bags. It's going to be the smaller shops as well, which I think is a step in the right direction to reduce some of those. And our answers, it's a split here. 43% thinks 2025, 43% thinks 2030, and 14% thinks it's going to take much longer, 2035. It's actually 2025 the government has made that pledge for. Like I said, they're already making steps towards that. Okay, next question. According to the European Parliament, single-use plastics keep washing up on European shores. Which is most often found? Drinks bottles, plastic bags, or plastic straws? So when you're going for a walk along the shore, what do you spot most? According to the European Parliament, single-use plastics keep washing up on the European shores. Which is the most often found? Drinks bottles, plastic bags, plastic straws? It's just one of those answers. Reasonably split, 43% saying drinks bottles, 57% saying plastic bags. It is drinks bottles. Drinks bottles are the ones more likely to be found. That may be that the plastic bags are sinking and actually being eaten by the animals, or it may be that there are more plastic bottles ending up in the ocean, which is why they wash up more often. But we have our own bottles, 100% of us, so make sure that you're using yours as well, so we don't have to keep buying those single-use plastic bottles. Okay, next question. So what could we use instead of our plastic straws? We already know they're single use. What could we use instead? Stainless steel straws, bamboo straws, pasta straws, rice straws, paper straws, or no straw at all? You can tick as many as you like and then submit your answer. So what could I use instead of a plastic straw? Tick all of them that you think are correct. Stainless steel straws, bamboo straws, pasta straws, rice straws, paper straws, or no straws at all. I did search the house for a straw and thankfully I found none here. I must admit I don't particularly use a straw, and if I go to a bar I always ask them not to put a straw in for me because you never know what type of straw you're going to get.
Well, Melissa, I think that's interesting. There's some of those straws that I've never heard of before. Pasta straws and rice straws. They're a new one for me.
Well, you have to wait till the poll's finished. Well, Diana, it wasn't me who wrote this question. And I did have to question these. How are we doing with our poll? I bet there's a few debates on whether these exist, just like me and Diana's just had.
Carry on. Yeah.
One of our SLH members says he drinks it straight from the whiskey bottle. He doesn't have a straw at all. Well, perhaps that's why I don't ask for a straw when I go out. Fantastic. Okay, so 100% agree that we don't have to have a straw at all, and I gave that away, and so did Ian with his whiskey bottle. So 100% say that we don't have to have a straw at all. Pasta straws, only 33% of us think that they exist, but they actually exist. I'm going to have to research these a bit more. 50% of us think that rice straws exist, and they do exist. Again, I'm going to have to look at these again. You can get recyclable paper straws, bamboo straws. You can get them in, and the bamboo straws and stainless steel straws. You can get them in nice little sets. We have a little pipe cleaner to make sure that they stay clean and fresh. And I do have a friend who takes them out in a handbag, so that when she gets her cocktails, it doesn't smudge her lipstick. Like I said, I just hop there drinking it. Thank you very much, Mel. And our next one. So, which country was the first country to ban thin plastic bags? So they're the ones that we now have to pay 5 or 10 pence for. They're the bags that are now been replaced in co-op with the biodegradable bags, which are similar to the composting bags that we put into our bins in Stockport. So which country was the first to ban those thin plastic bags? America, Bangladesh, or Kenya? Which was the first country to ban thin plastic bags? America, Bangladesh, or Kenya? So a bit of a guess, this one. Wow, you are quick off the mark for the answers there. 57% think it's Kenya, 43% think it's Bangladesh, no one thinks it's America. Correct. It is in fact, says, it is in fact Bangladesh. And Bangladesh banned them because they clogged up the drains. The drainage system in Bangladesh couldn't cope with the amount of plastic bags, so they got rid of them completely. But actually, it's been really good for the environment too. So if Bangladesh can ban all plastic bags, I think we can do that as our next step after the 2021 charges being put on them. I certainly feel that we could cope without them. Okay, next question. I think we've just got 2 more questions here. Oh, sorry. Which plastics can we put in our brown general recycling bin in Stockport? So these are your brown bins. Which of these will you put in there to enable them to be recycled within Stockport? And I know from experience, it's different where you are around the UK. So you've got a choice to tick: shampoo bottles, plastic milk bottles, drink bottles, cling film, and yogurt pots. Which ones of those should we be putting into our recycling brown general bin, sorry, our recycling bin in Stockport? How are our votes going, Mel?
One person left to go. Ah, they're in. Here we go.
Oh, now this is a real test, this, isn't it? 100% say that we can recycle our milk bottles and our drinks bottles, and we certainly can. Good job. 71% say that we can recycle our shampoo bottles. We certainly can. Just give them a rinse out and they can go straight into the recycling bin. 14% made the same mistake as I did. Yogurt pots cannot be recycled in our Stockport bins. They can where I came from before in Norwich. You could recycle them, but here you cannot. And 100% of us were correct that we cannot recycle cling film in our bins either. So keep on putting in your bottles, but not your yogurt pots or cling film. Okay, I think this might be our last question for the moment. Which plastics can we put in our black general waste bin in Stockport? So which of these can we put into our black general waste bin in Stockport? So all of these can just be put into landfill or incinerated or wherever they go from our Stockport general bins. Tick all of them that apply. Plastic carrier bags, trigger bottles for cleaning materials, polystyrene packaging, food and drink cartons, and containers for fruit and veg. So which ones of those can we put into the general bin? How are we doing?
Yeah, a couple more left to go. One more left. There we go. Answer's coming.
Perfect. So we can put into the bins, and these go to landfill, carrier bags, polystyrene and containers for fruit and vegetables, but you cannot put in trigger bottles and food and drink cartons. Diana, do you know where we can put those?
They can both go in the other one, the other that we've just discussed, into the brown bin.
They can go into this recycling bin. So when we have fruit and vegetable containers, so our strawberry basket from earlier, we can put that into there, and our food and drink cartons, as long as they're cleaned out, we can put those into our recycling bin too.
The food and drink cartons can go into our brown bin, yes.
Perfect. So you needed an expert who's lived in Heaton Moor for a little bit longer than I have. Okay, I believe that's our last question from there. Is that correct? And then we've got one more poll.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you very much.
I think
oh, did you want to say something else?
I just want to say I'll leave you for one more question later, and great job, and thank you for taking part in our quiz.
Thank you, everybody, for joining in. So now we're going to go over to Rachel. And Rachel, I think perhaps you can introduce yourself and say what your film is about, please.
Thanks, Diana. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Rachel and I run Plastic Shed, which is a group of people making new things out of plastic waste, and we're based in Stockport. So now in our session today, we're actually going to show you a way for you at home to make something out of plastic waste. So a time for us to get a bit creative, but also to take some action around the climate crisis. So we made a film a few weeks ago of us in our new space, which is down in the Mersey Shopping Centre, called the Mersey Workshop. So you have to come and visit us when we're open later on in the year. And so this is basically a step-by-step guide to show you how to turn some plastic packaging that is single-use, that can't go in the brown recycling bin, and that would just end up in your general waste bin, turning that into something useful again. And we're showing you today how to make it into a bookmark. This is really simple, and you can do it at home. But for now, you can either follow along with the video, or you can just get some inspiration and watch it later on the Sustainable Living in the Heatons website or the Plastic Shed website. So get your plastic packaging ready, and you'll need an iron as well, and take a look at what you can create with your plastic waste at home.
Hello, so we are Plastic Shed. My name's Rachel.
And I'm Camilla.
And Plastic Shed is a group of people in Stockport turning plastic waste into new useful things. So today we're in the Mersey Workshop, which is a space on the High Street in Stockport where you can come and get involved with lots of different creative workshops.
So today we're going to be making a bookmark for your books made out plastic packaging. But before we do that, we want to explain you why plastic is a magic material. So plastic is a magic material because it's got lots of different properties. It can be really hard and can make different kind of noises, and by touching them you can tell what plastic you're playing with. Some of them are really soft and you can just break them and make different things out of it. Some others are a bit more hard and waterproof and difficult to play with. So today we're going to be making something with plastics that unfortunately we cannot recycle. And also another thing about plastic as a magic material is that they're durable, that it will take about 500 years to disappear from our environment.
So what you need today is an iron. You need some baking paper, a cloth to keep the table safe when you're using the iron, a pair of scissors, a pen, your book for your bookmark and also to help you draw a straight line, and of course lots of plastic waste.
Like this. So today we are gonna iron different layers of plastic bags to create a stronger fabric where we're then gonna be able to make our bookmark. So what me and Rachel usually would recommend you is to start by having different layers of and pieces of plastic with a similar shape, and then we will be ironing 2 pieces of plastic at the time, and Rachel can explain you how.
So before you get started with the ironing, you just need to make sure that your plastic is clean, so empty out all those packets with any leftover food. You also need to make sure that you're only ironing one piece of plastic layer on top of another, so if there's any funny folds or creases in your plastic, then you just need to cut those open so that you've got a nice flat piece of plastic to lay on top. So you get your cloth on the table to protect it from the heat of the iron. You take your first sheet of baking paper and you take your first sheet of plastic. Thank you, Camilla.
No worries.
And you want to layer on top of that a second piece of plastic, and then you sandwich those pieces of plastic in between your baking paper, and that protects it from sticking to the iron when you use the iron.
So now Rachel is gonna iron the first 2 layers of plastic bags, and what you want to do is to hold your iron for a few seconds and slowly move, and also explode all the bubble wrap. And you want to make sure by doing that the 2 layers of plastic will melt perfectly together to create our first layer of thick plastic. And now in a second we'll show you how this will look like.
So once you've finished your ironing, always make sure you wait a few seconds before you touch the baking paper, because it will still be quite hot. But then you want to check that there's a few bits there that haven't quite fused. So you can see here that these 2 pieces haven't quite stuck together properly. And you can also see that there's a few bubbles if you run your finger along that we want to get rid of, so that it's not properly fused together there. And if we do that, it'll make it much stronger. So once you've got your piece ready, you can start adding on your extra layers, and you want to have about 4 or 5, so you keep layering and doing the same thing.
So you can decide to decorate your bookmark at the end, and so then create a blank simple base at the beginning, or just play straight away with different colors. So now, for example, we can just keep layering loads of white blank layers, or we could start adding colors to it. So as you can see, you can also play with words that you can find on your black plastic bags and interlay them and create something like this, or you could either just leave it blank and then add different designs made out of pieces of plastics and create your own design. And now, when we've got our 6 or 7 layers of iron plastic bags, we can think about designing colourful shapes. So Rachel is now preparing a few different colourful cuts of plastic. So we're thinking of using a blue and a white piece of plastic with some green and other different colours that we found in our plastic packaging. And what you can do, you can just create your design by adding all of these colourful pieces onto your future bookmark, like this. You can also play with words, for example. We've got the French word for recycling on this piece of plastic. And then the next step again will be to iron our colourful plastic pieces for our bookmark. So don't forget the second piece of baking paper, because you don't want all of the beautiful colourful plastic bits stuck on your iron.
Don't want that.
Don't want that. Wait a few seconds until your piece of plastic is cooled down, and then gently peel off the baking paper. And then this is a similar, or like a sort of idea for our bookmark, but Rachel gave me a really good suggestion before. And we are gonna add an extra layer of plastic to make sure that our colourful bits won't get lost.
Yeah,
in
keep
the,
them safe and secure down.
on our bookmark. So we'll add an extra layer onto it, and then we'll be ready for the shaping and cutting of our book.
So if you've got any little leftover bits at the end of all your ironing, you can just put those on the back and use them just to decorate the back bit of your bookmark. So layer them all up and then do the same ironing again.
And now we're gonna cut our bookmark. So we thought to go along a shape that we've already got on our design, but you could easily also use something else to create a pattern for your bookmark. So you could use a book and, for example, take a measurement out of your book, or you could simply create like a freehand design bookmark. We are gonna simply then get our scissors and this what we've made today, your bookmark, as an example, but as I said before, you can create your own design, your own shapes, but here we are, here we go.
And if you've got any leftover bits, which you probably will have, then you can also use those to make other bookmarks for your friends, or you can make them into key rings and jewellery, and we've got some tutorial videos over on our plasticshed.org website that you can follow. But you can also use the same technique to make lots of other different things. We've also got tutorials to make these wallets over on our website, which is exactly the same process, and you can just make a handy little purse or wallet for your things. So there's lots of creative ideas that you could get from working with this material in this way.
We'll all look forward to going and visiting you at your new workshop in the middle of Mersey Way as soon as possible. I must say, when I first met Rachel, and which was through another thing that I'm just going to explain about in a minute, I thought it was pretty amazing that we could make rather attractive objects out of the ironing old plastic. It's a bit of a wonder, really. Okay, so Mel and Suze, I wonder if we could go back to our slides, please. So what I just want to do is we would just like to just give you another couple of ideas of things that you can do. What other fun things can I make out of plastic? So you'll see here that you could make some bug hotels out of plastic where the bugs can live. Or this is a rather ingenious idea for using old plastic bottles to make bird feeders. Can you see that bird sitting on there, sitting on a wooden spoon to peck its seeds? There's lots of other information about the sort of things that you can do, which are if you just Google making interesting things out of plastic, there are lots of things you can do. And if you're particularly interested in looking at wildlife, do remember to come along to our session this time tomorrow, which is about being a wildlife detective. Next slide, please. Can I just tell you also about Kick the Plastics in the Heatons, which was a collaboration between the Heatons WI, the 4 Heatons traders, and our organisation. And we have been going for a few years now, and we've just been trying to encourage people to reduce their use of single-use plastics. Next slide, please. One of the things we can all do, as we've said, is to reduce our use of bags, and you'll see the iconic SLH bag here that has now sold out. But we've also heard that there's a new initiative which is going to be online from the 4 Heatons traders with a lovely new tote bag, and that's in 2 different colours. I think Melissa has lastly another slide. Have you, with another quiz question to ask?
Yeah, I've got one more quiz question. I've got a couple of just a couple of comments from our some of our attendees, and one of them was asking for a little bit of clarification about the what food packaging we can put into the recycling bin. So we've just done a little bit more research, and it's saying that foil trays, tins, cans, and card packaging, so that's any of your cereals, your tins, your cans, that can all go into your recycling. The blue one has the card packaging, and then the other way around. Never get them the right way around.
Blue is card packaging.
My nightmare. And then the other one, you can put your trays and foil in. The food packaging that you cannot put in there are your trays and tubs and your thin plastic packaging. So if you've got some, I don't know, bags of lettuce, that thin plastic packaging, that has to go into your black general waste bin, and so do those trays and tubs. So your strawberry packaging, that would go into your waste bin as well. So the food packaging that can go into recycling, I'll just say that again, is your foil trays, tin foil, tins and cans once they've been rinsed out and the paper taken off of them, and any card packaging, so your cereal boxes, can go into your recycling as well. But the thin plastic that's within your cereal packaging, that has to go into your general waste. So yeah, there was just a little bit of clarification about that. And also a bit of a shout out from one of our attendees, so the Good Life Unwinds Littlewoods and the Easy Fish Company, because they also will accept your Tupperware and reuse it, and they'll let you take home any of their products in those. I'm not quite sure with the COVID restrictions at the moment, but it's worth trying, and as soon as they can, even if they can't at the moment, they will be doing that again, I'm sure. Yeah, so just wanted to give those a quick shout out. Are there any other questions and answers that we're taking at the moment?
I think there was again, somebody made the suggestion about taking your own containers to various shops, and I think there's no problem at the moment, despite COVID.
Oh, perfect. To be honest, I haven't tried, but that's mainly because I haven't been in Stockport. Just putting that out there. So my final thoughts then, and final slides. And is it Diana? Have you done your final slides now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got one more poll for you, and this is the most positive poll. We've already found out that some of us are fully prepared to be plastic free, or at least to cut down and reduce and reuse our plastic. So this is us becoming greener. This week, can you tick the poll? Can you promise, can you make the pledge to do any of these? Tick all of these that you think that you can do this week. Can you remember to take your own bag for every trip to the shop? So absolutely no plastic bags being bought at the shops. Can you have a little look around for the items with the least or no packaging? Could you try a different shop perhaps? Again, some of our greengrocers along the way don't have any packaging for theirs, so perhaps you could have a look at theirs. Can you check the packaging for every item before you bin it? So actually get up on the internet what Stockport will and will not recycle and what needs to go in which bin, and check the backs of the packets to see if they can be recycled. And perhaps even choose those that are made from recycled materials rather than already or brand new plastics. Could you repurpose or reuse, again, something you would normally bin, for example, a jar, tub or container? So if you are going for Chinese, can you use that tub again to freeze some soup for the freezer for work later in the week? Can you turn something into your jar into something pretty so you can store pens in it or something different? Can you this week use a water bottle and or a mug instead of buying more plastic bottles and cups? So if you know you're heading into town, perhaps you can pop one of these into your bag. So if you do go to a coffee place, perhaps for a takeaway coffee, you can grab it in one of those. I think most coffee places are starting to use them again. I know there was a bit of a cut down over COVID, but pressure on these places are making sure that they bring it back as soon as possible. They can use them again. And can you repurpose your plastic into a bookmark? You will have to go online, check out Rachel's fantastic video and see if you can make something with some of the plastics left around. So this week, all of these will result in you reducing the amount of plastics that you buy, recycling some of those that you buy, and reusing some of the plastics that you've bought in your house. That's the whole point of this this piece on the SLH Festival. So we've got 100% of us, yes, going to remember our bags for every shopping trip. We're going to be checking packaging for every item. That is the one that I will find the hardest, the tedious check. They should make it more obvious. I think we need to campaign for that. If anyone's going on to the council later, we could get onto them for that, I'm sure. Sorry, I digress. So we're all promising to check our packaging, and everyone's promising to use a water bottle and or mug instead of buying more plastic cups and bottles. 67% of us are promising to look out for the least or no packaging. Good job. And 83% of us are going to repurpose or use again something that you'd normally bin. Get crafting. And 50% of us are definitely going to be making our bookmark. So we'll be able. So as soon as that is it. Sorry, Rachel's video is going onto our website. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So have a look on our website for the video so you can make your own bookmark. And again, if you do make something, please put them onto our Twitter page, tag them on our Instagram and Facebook page. It's SL Heatons at SL Heatons, so that we can see how you guys are getting on with those. Perfect. Okay,
Fine.
so that's our final call for action. So we all know what we can do as individuals, as our family all together in our homes, and as a community here in the Heatons. And that's it from our quiz.
Thank you. Great quiz there. Thank you. Mel and Sue, could we go back to our slides just briefly before we want? Okay, so what we will hope you'll take away, that change is happening, and please carry on driving that transition by what you can do as a person in your own home. And we've hoped that we've all been able to thought a little bit more about that in relation to plastics just now, but also through shouting out as a citizen. If you think there's things that can be done, then let's tell our parliamentarians, let's tell our MPs, let's tell our council. We've shared some small ideas to follow, and we hope that they will make a difference, however small. So please tell other people about this, tell other people about to watch this again if you think that this has been interesting. We hope that you will Join us again tomorrow for the next. Is there another slide, please? Yes, there we are. Thank you for attending. Recording of this session will be on the SLH website. We're going to send you a survey. Please tell us what you thought about this, and remember to register for some other events. Bye-bye for now.